at the program, continuation of the previous program where we printed the numbers. This time we are going to try to find sum of all the numbers from 1 to n. And in this case also, we will modify the code to print sum of all the numbers from 1 to n, to print even numbers from 1 to n, and to print odd numbers from 1 to n. Suppose if the user says the value of n as say 5. My task is to print all the numbers from 1 to n, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So here, if the user says 5, I am supposed to print the sum as say 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 3, 6, 6 plus 4, 10, 10 plus 5, 15. In the second case, we will modify the same code to print. Suppose if the user says 5, I want to print all the even number sum. So the even numbers which exist in this are 2 and 4, so I'll say 6. And in the third case, we'll modify the same code to print only the odd number sum which exists from 1 to 5, that is 1 plus 3 plus 5, that is 9. So we'll do 3 different codes in the same program. You can modify these instructions as per your needs. So basically, how do I find the sum of all these numbers from 1 to n? So since you said that I'm supposed to start from 1 and reach to n, so I'll say that a for loop is must. Depending upon how this particular value moves, you have to construct the third expression of the for loop. If it is moving as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it will be I plus plus. If here your I is what? Initially 2 and it goes to n, and here your I moves by 2 steps, and here your I is 1 and reaches to n again in steps of 2. So it is now assured that whether a for loop has to move by multiple steps or single steps based on the title. Now question comes, if I is going to generate say 1, will I preserve all the values which are generated? No. Your I will generate 1, and when it generates 2, what it does, it overwrites the previous value. When it generates 3, it overwrites the previous value. When it generates 4, again it overwrites the previous value. Your I keeps on overwriting when a second number is generated. So before the value of I is overwritten, why don't we now go into the process of accumulation? Why don't we accumulate the values of I before they are overwritten? Yes. So if you remember the programs which we did on while loop, so here let's take a sum variable s as 0, and let's use this s to accumulate the values of I. So s is added with I and the result is stored back to s. So before I gets overwritten, so 0 plus 1 is 1. Then 1 is added with the 2, and then the result is stored as 3. 3 is added with the 3, the result is written as 6. 6 is added with 4, the result is stored as 10. Then I generates 5, 10 is added with 5 and the result is generated as 15. When I generate 6, we'll say stop. So here the value of I keeps on overwriting, and every time in the process I keep on adding the values of I. The same expression can be even used with this particular operation also. Now let's look at the example which is used to generate this particular operation. So here I'll ask the user to enter the value of n or enter the last number. Depending upon your application, you can say enter the value of n, read that value as n. Now take the for loop from 1 to n. I have for loop which is running from 1 to n, and here I am incrementing by 1 step. It means that I want to generate every value of I. In the previous case, when I was generated, I used that particular I for printing, but here I'll not use I for printing, but here I'll use this I to get added with s. So I'll say s equal to s plus I. Suppose if I is say, if n is say 5, I is initially 1 and s is initially set with 0. So 1 less than equals to 5, true. True. 0 plus 1 is 1. I becomes 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. I becomes 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. I becomes 4. 6 plus 4 is 10. When I becomes 5, 10 plus 5 is 15. When I becomes 6, the condition is false because I less than equals to n. Till your I is less than equal to n, keep on doing this particular operation, and finally print the output as sum of all the numbers percentage d comma s. So s stores a value as 15. What if this code has to be modified for printing all even numbers from 1 to n? How to do the even numbers? So what is the first even number? I equals to 2. I less than equals to n. Now here, will you increase the value of I by 1 or will you increase the value of I by 2? You got it right. I equals to 2. I equals to I plus 2, and then the same expression can be even used for the operation s equal to s plus I. And if I ask you to do it for odd numbers, the same for loop will be used with I equals to 1, I less than equals to n, and here I can say I equals to I plus 2. Same expression can be even stated at this place. So here I have the for loop used to find the sum of all the numbers, sum of only even numbers, sum of only odd numbers. So you're supposed to identify the process of accumulation at this place. So take accumulation variable s, set it to 0, and keep on adding every generated value to that particular output. And once you do that, then print the result at once. What if I print this particular printf inside this for loop? If I take this particular printf inside the for loop, then what it does is it will print those intermediate sum along with the final sum. Should I need those intermediate sums? If you say yes, then a printf is must. If you say no, then your printf will appear outside this particular for loop. So do remember the process of printing as well as finding the sum using this particular accumulation variable. Thank you.